All right, so I am Dan Forbes, Forbes Property Group, Pure Realty here in Cedar Park, Texas, just north of Austin. I've got a CPA and a mortgage loan officer on this sort of conference, this Zoom conference with me today, as we dig into the stimulus bill that was signed yesterday. We're talking about the 2.1 trillion stimulus bill signed on March 27th. 2020 as a result of the COVID-19 virus and the market volatility, jobless claims, all of this that they deemed something had to be done. So if you're listening to this recording, we're only going to go 30 minutes. We're going to have a discussion because we've been digging into this bill to see how it applies to individual taxpayers, to renters, to people who are paying a mortgage, to small businesses, to those who hold student loans. And so we're going to hit the highlights as we understand them right now of this stimulus bill. And we're going to make ourselves available if you want to text us, call us, email us. We'll give you all that information at the end of this, but we're only going to go 30 minutes. So it's 11:20 right now. So we're going to go to 11:50. So I've introduced myself. Tom, introduce yourself.
Good morning. Tom Bargsley. I'm a CPA here in the Austin metro area, and I work with business owners, professionals as a interval virtual chief financial officer, and have a deep background in income tax. Hopefully I can bring some insight into what we have in this new bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Danny?
And I'm Danny Smith. I've been a loan officer for a long time, and I'm also a certified mortgage planner located here in the Austin, Texas area.
Okay, thank you. I will say I also have a past background as a financial advisor with Merrill Lynch and a certified financial planner, which I'm not practicing that now. I've been in real estate since the mid 90s. So as I said, we three have been digging in to the stimulus bill. We want to hit some of the highlights with you. Show me the money. So Tom, we've been waiting to find out, am I going to get, what is it, $1,200, $2,400, whatever it is? What's in this bill about that, cash payment we've been hearing about?
Thanks, Dan. Cash payments, that's been the highlight. And this bill authorizes $1,200 per person. Those for adults, $500 for children. For those that are below $75,000 of income, as an individual or as a married couple, $150,000 should be expecting the payment. And how will they do that? They are going to attempt to do it electronically where possible within the next 3 weeks. Where not possible, they'll do a check. They're going to look for your 2018 and 19 returns to try to get a good place to deposit that money. And if you draw Social Security, they would look to the address on file there. This payment is actually going to be tax-free. So there is a credit in the law that would offset the receipt of this payment. If your income goes above that threshold I mentioned, the 75 or the 150, for single or married, then you might have to repay that money. But they're trying to do their best to look at actual prior returns, 2018 and now 19. It might be an incentive for you if you have not filed your 2019 return to do so, even if you have not paid, because you have until July 15th of this year to file the 2019 return, which has never happened. And you have until July 15th to pay for that amount. So that might be an incentive if you've got a dress change or a big change in income or whatever that might be. This has gotten a lot of the attention. It's, they're trying to get the money by direct deposit into your account quickly within the month.
Wow, amazing, amazing. Now, let me ask you, so something just came to my mind, Tom. If I had not filed my 2019 taxes, but I had filed my 2018 taxes, and let's say I made $74,000, in 2018. So I'm under that 75,000 threshold, but in 2019 I made $100,000. If I don't file yet, if I haven't filed yet, I'd be better off not to file, right? Because I'm going to get paid based on the 2018 return. Is that the way you
As we read it,
look at this?
and we're still learning. That's correct. You would get the check. Now, it may be that you would have to repay part of that.
Yeah,
There's
they might claw it back.
75 and 100,000.
Okay.
But you would get the cash up front, and then that would give you time to get the 19 filed, and then ultimately there would be some true up of that in 2020 when you file a return. But the idea behind this bill is to get the cash to the actual individual taxpayers and families as soon as possible.
Okay, great, great. And one of the reasons for that, Danny, is a lot of people are losing their jobs right now. We were talking about that just a moment ago, and in our discussion together. Right now, this week, 3.5 million jobless claims this year. And Danny, you looked it up to see, how does that compare to what we had back in the Great Recession after the crash of 07 and 08? What was the?
Yeah, this is based on last week's numbers, the 3.2 million, and that was 7 times greater than the most claims ever in 1 week period. So that 3.2 million was just last week.
Okay. What's causing this, joblessness? I know we didn't talk about that before we came on here, but I mean, look around us here. We're in the Austin, Texas area right now. Travis County, Williamson County. We're in this stay-at-home, under the stay-at-home order. And we were, previous to that, we were already told if you could work at home, work at home. Restaurants could only provide takeout. There was no, inside seating. Many restaurants and small businesses have already gone out of business. I've got, a family member that was laid off from their restaurant job. I've talked to people on the phone that have been laid off from their jobs. So, and we don't even, I mean, we're probably no doubt already in a recession, but this is just the beginning.
Yeah, I've had borrowers, people have pre-qualified loans looking at moving out of rental property in June and July. Their leases are coming up. There are 2 families, one for down payment assistance, and their loans have stopped. One because of a job loss, another one because of concerns about the job and is she going to have a job with a part-time job she's had where she works about 15 hours a week she's had for 8 years. And they told her, we're not sure what's going to happen when we go back to work.
Okay. All right. Let's dig into what we know about this bill. I want us to talk about renters that perhaps have lost their jobs, cannot pay their rent, and then talk about homeowners who have lost their jobs, their financial hardship, if they can't pay their mortgage. Then we're going to move to businesses, what help is out there for businesses, and also for those that have student loans. So looking at this, and by the way, I received yesterday, after this bill was signed, a very nice summary of this act, so that myself as a realtor could help share some of this information out there. By the way, this is called the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act. So some of the bullet points that I'm seeing here, and Danny, you see this too, and you've got the bill in front of you, is for people that are living in what's deemed affordable housing. So if someone is in Section 8, what's called Section 8 housing, if you don't know what that is, then that probably doesn't include you. But similar to what happened in 2008, 2009, the tenant that cannot pay their rent because of a loss of income due to the coronavirus impact is going to receive a voucher from the government that they can in turn give to their landlord, who can basically cash that voucher and receive, some payment. Will be a reduced payment from the tenant. Danny, is that what you understand?
Yeah, it is. There's some other foreclosure moratoriums that's been being put on affordable type housing. There's multifamily properties fall into that. Affordable housing can be 1 to 4 family. So there is a section of the act that deals directly with the affordable housing.
Okay. So foreclosure moratorium. All right, let's keep this really simple. All right, we know what the word foreclosure means. Most people, I mean, if you have a mortgage, if you don't pay it, you get foreclosed upon, and the lender will evict you and take the property back. Moratorium. So what I'm reading here, a foreclosure moratorium on all federally backed mortgages. So Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, so forth. We can go into all those, but we're not.
FHA, VA.
Yep. So if you got an FHA, VA loan, then a lender cannot start a foreclosure against you for the next 60 days beginning March 18th. Now, there's other relief, and we'll get to that in a
Dan,
moment. Yes.
On the affordable housing, and if somebody did fall under the affordable housing portion of this, that's still a little bit obscure, but it does talk about single family 1 to 4 units in that. It's 120 days, but under the regular mortgage that most of people were, our friends and families and clients, it is only 60 days, but it's no foreclosure action. So somebody that's in the middle of a foreclosure right now, it stopped for 60 days as of the 18th.
Right, March 18th. Right. Yeah. Right. Now, the 120 days, though, is regarding evictions. And we'll talk about forbearance in a moment, but, right?
You are correct.
Yeah, that last bullet point. So your lender cannot start foreclosing proceedings on you. If you're in the middle of it, they have to stop. And that's some relief there. Let's skip the multifamily properties. If you are the owner of a multifamily property, just give myself or Danny a call or a text or an email at the end of this, and we'll go into that for you. So let's talk about, and we'll get to forbearance in a moment, but the moratorium on eviction filing. So, I had an acquaintance yesterday who last evening, his tenant said, "Hey, the stimulus bill says I don't have to pay you any rent. I've lost my job, and so I don't have to pay you rent for the next 60 days." Evidently, he hadn't read the bill, because the way I read this right now, a landlord cannot proceed to evict you for non-payment of rent for the next 120 days. Is that what you see, Dan?
Yeah, and is that only under the affordable housing for rent, or
right?
That's really a little bit ambiguous right now.
It is, right? Yeah, you're right, because maybe that doesn't apply to everybody. I mean, I would tell anybody, if you can pay your rent, pay your rent. I mean, if you've lost your job and you can't, then you can't. But be careful of just taking something that you see on Twitter or even on the news, other types of news, and just saying, hey, I'm not going to pay my rent. Tom, anything that you want to chime in on that issue right now? I know that we're going to get more to the stuff that you're an expert in a little bit later.
Dan, just a caveat. It's an 800+ page bill. It's been around for 24 hours.
Yep.
We have no rules. We have no regs. We have systems that need to be in place that don't exist. Please temper your, watching social media, etc., to make sure you get the hard facts, because you're going to have information, misinformation, partial information. So that's why we're doing this today. We'll fill in more. I've got a 2-hour seminar scheduled for Monday, deep dive with attorneys and other CPAs. We're all trying to figure out how to make this work under the law, which is passed in Congress with some advice and consent. But as we know, there are parts that are brand new that are being deployed throughout the nation. So just a word of caution: seek experts and seek multiple news sources.
Got it. Thank you. Let's talk about mortgage forbearance. So if I am a homeowner and if I've lost my job and I'm having trouble paying my mortgage, there's a tool that might be available to me under normal circumstances. That's called mortgage forbearance, and that's where not talking about the bill, but under normal circumstances before this bill, the lender could help me put together a plan to either, to accept the fact that I can't pay right now, but maybe I can start paying in 3 months or 6 months or 12 months. And so they would allow forbearance for me, so I don't have to make my payment during that period of time. That's sort of what forbearance means, or just Google mortgage forbearance and you'll probably see a better explanation. But this bill, as we're looking at this, the summary bullet point I'm looking at this says borrowers of government-backed mortgages, so FHA, VA, et cetera, can request up to a 360-day payment forbearance. So that means no mortgage payments for a year, and that proof of hardship isn't necessary. Now, that's what's new about this bill. I've never seen that before. Danny?
Yeah, that was the shocking part for me about this, that it's 180 days forbearance just for requesting it, and then it's another 180 days if you need another 180 days, and no proof of hardship. Now, Tom pointed out that already at his bank, he's
Let him tell us that. Let him tell us that.
Yeah,
Tom,
that's what you saw,
yeah.
Tom.
Tom, you looked at your bank website this morning. What'd you see?
Yeah, I looked at my bank website, and the first thing that pops up for my account summary is, if you're affected by coronavirus, click this box, boom, here's all the things we do for you. No proof, no documentation. I simply click a box. So and this is one of the top 10 largest banks in size. So they already know from this bill, they've got to adapt, and they're trying to collect data and keep people out of default. That's one of the purposes behind the bill, but that's upfront. They're offering that. I don't have to dig to page 42 of the website. So that was kind of shocking and refreshing at the same time.
Now, how does somebody find out if their mortgage is a government-backed mortgage? Because that's the question here. It says borrowers of government-backed mortgages. Danny, how does a borrower find that out?
Google, go to, and it's real simple. We'll post up a link, but you can Google Fannie Mae. You can ask the question on Google: is my house backed by Fannie Mae? That's FANNIE, second word MAE, or Freddie Mac, and it's Freddie with IE and separate word MAC.
Okay. And I've got the website up for that too, Danny. It's makinghomeaffordable.gov. Makinghomeaffordable.gov. You can find out who owns your mortgage. If it's Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac, then you qualify.
But you also qualify if you're FHA, VA, or USDA.
Right. Okay. So
which is the Ginnie Mae system. So in effect, that's the third link.
Right. Right. Okay. Proof of hardship isn't necessary. So, for example, Danny, the client that I had called me, and he said he had just refinanced recently. If he goes to that site, he can find out if it's a government-backed mortgage, and if his tenant stops paying him. I mean, if he wanted to, he could request forbearance. But the reading of this right now is that anybody can request forbearance. Isn't that what we're seeing as right now? We don't know the details, but that's what it looks like.
The actual bill says, uses the term federally backed mortgage loans, and it goes through FHA, it goes through Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae, Department of Veteran Affairs, VA, Department of Agriculture, which is USDA, but it also has in there the Housing and Community Development Act and the National Housing Act. So whatever those acts are and how they impact certain lenders, I'm not familiar with those acts, and we'll be
Yeah,
looking.
yeah. Let's not get into that. And
Yeah,
let us
what
just
I'm
say
saying
that,
is that essentially it's all, you need to assume that it's all loans, but check your assumption. I mean, if you're making mortgage payments to a major mortgage lender, then you're eligible for forbearance if you have a hardship.
okay. And let's put this caveat out there. I'm not an attorney. Danny's not an attorney. Tom's not an attorney. We're not here to give you legal advice. And we would tell anyone, if you can't make your mortgage payment, I would tell you, even if you can't make your rent payment, speak to an attorney. If you're a landlord and you're thinking about evicting someone now or in the future, whether it's 60 days from now, talk to an attorney and get some legal advice. Tom, let's sort of move on to, away from the renter, the person that can't pay their mortgage. What are you seeing out there for small businesses in the stimulus bill that might be of help to them?
Dan, there's a number of items. The first is the new emergency loan provision. So this would have been called a disaster loan in the past, so they've sort of renamed it. But basically through SBA, you can get a loan of up to $10 million. And if you fit the criteria, ultimately some, part, or all of this loan could be forgiven. The idea is to have people, like say a restaurant, or have to lay off people, business comes back, you start rehiring, there's an opportunity for you to get at least some of this forgiven. What's interesting about this is, again, if you simply state, I'm affected by the coronavirus, you qualify. Number two, you do not give personal guarantee, which is radically different from any SBA loan I've ever seen, except for the very smallest. And you do not have a requirement for a number of years in business. If your business was open by January 27th, 2020, you would qualify as a business. So you could have a very new business that had to close due to the coronavirus because of the physical aspects of whatever that might be, entertainment, food, et cetera, that could qualify for this loan. The rate's capped at 4%. We're still waiting for more details because the typical SBA loan has taken up to 60 to 90 days to process. They're trying to cut that time, but that's a great opportunity for businesses. There's also an opportunity for businesses that have losses to use those losses cash now. They're called net operating losses. And so the Jobs Act, Tax Code Act in 17 did away with NOLs. They're back. That would let you amend your returns from prior years and actually carry those back and get refunds. It would also let you utilize losses in 2020 ultimately to go back to profitable years. So that's a great way for you to get cash quickly, and it's your money. You're unlocking those deductions. And the last thing I would say is that there's actually provisions to allow you to delay your payment of payroll tax. And I want to caution you that it's dangerous, but it's there to let you take your payroll tax during 2020 and actually pay that in later years, half in 2021, half in 2022. No penalty, no interest, to allow you to have more cash and, again, to not be in a default position with the IRS. Be careful. It's dangerous, but it's a valuable tool if the problem is short term. But if you cannot ultimately pay those taxes, it is the most serious thing the IRS pursues is the non-payment of payroll tax. So that's one of the other issues, other elements in this law that would help you. And then just remembering your tax returns are not due until July 15th without extension, and you can extend through October 15th. Now is a great time to do as much as you can on your return and get answers whether you file or not.
And thank you, Tom. Great summary. Someone that's lost their job and is applying for, unemployment pay. There's something in this bill that's a really benefit to them. What is that?
Well, this is unique under the employment benefits section. The federal government is going to add on to whatever you would get through your state, which varies state to state, up to $600 per week of unemployment benefits. And for the first time, it's possible for someone who is a contractor, gig worker to qualify. Now, we do not know all the rules yet to how we can get that person to qualify for commission only or tips, but that is a major change. And that is potentially $2,400 per month on top of what the state pays you. So it's unique. It's a huge potential cash back to individuals that are needed right now.
Okay, great. Student loans. There's some provision also in this bill for basically the forbearance of student loans for what, 6 months? Is that what we're seeing?
Correct. Up to 6 months. We'll see if that's extended, but under this current bill, 6 months. That would basically not accrue interest during that 6 months. You would not be required to make a payment. You're not reducing principal at that point. There's also some discussion about how this bill would impact the actual principal amount, but at least we know for now it would basically allow you to stop making payments for 6 months and not have an impact on your credit report, and would not accrue interest during 6 months. So that's a great opportunity for those who have student loans or need the cash flow at that point. Okay,
great. I'm also seeing here, looking at this summary provided to me by the National Association of Realtors, there's relaxing of rules and regs regarding withdrawals from retirement accounts, waiver of required minimum distribution rules from certain retirement accounts, and just a lot of other things. I mean, the bill is, as you said, I don't know, I guess it depends on the font size you use. I've heard anywhere from 800 pages up to 1,200 pages, I believe. But there's a lot of things here. So our goal is to simply hit this at a high level and try to put some information out there as we continue to dig into this. Let me go around. Any last things that you want to mention about the bill? And then let's give our contact information so that people can reach out to us if they have more questions. Danny, anything else right now about the bill that you want to bring up?
Yeah, back to renters of multifamily. So if you're in an apartment complex, if the owner of that complex receives a federal or receives a forbearance under the section, then they have certain things they have to adhere to around evictions and late payments and such. So something we didn't mention a while ago that I just looked up and found it in the bill. So if an apartment complex, for instance, if they receive a forbearance, then they come under this bill with their renters and how they treat those renters.
Okay. So they're going to have to pass some benefit on to the renters. Not sure what that is, and they cannot evict during the time of that forbearance period. So let's say this is a small investor that owns one multifamily property. If he has requested forbearance for 6 months and maybe extends that for another 12 months, if he had tenants in that property that could not pay their rent, they would not have to pay rent for that whole period of time. That's what I'm reading. Is that correct?
It says that that owner, the multifamily borrower that receives a forbearance under this section, may not require a tenant vacate the dwelling located in that property before the date that is 30 days after the date to which the borrower provides the tenant with a notice to vacate. So it's a little bit different there. So again, just check out your legalities, check with an attorney. I'd say this might be a great time to sign up for a prepaid legal type plan so that you have easy access to attorneys.
Great. So let's give contact information. Danny, whether it's a website, what's the best way for someone to contact you for questions that they might have?
Of course, you can find me on LinkedIn, Danny L. Smith on LinkedIn. You can go to DannyLSmith.com. My email is danny@dannylsmith.com. My phone number is 512-773-6528.
Okay. And again, who are you? What do you do?
I am a mortgage loan officer, branch manager, been in the business for 36 years, been through a lot of this. This is a great stimulus package from one side, causes concerns from another, but we've seen a lot of this over the years. I'm also a certified mortgage planner.
Okay, got it. Tom Bardsley, how do people get in touch with you?
You can simply go to my website, bardsleycpa.com, or you can call me at 937-776-3143. That 937 is my old location in Ohio. Still using that here. I'm a native of Austin. I've got 40 years experience, and I would just caution you and encourage you to get counsel, legal, financial, accounting. I focus on cash flow. If I can help you, tom.bardsley@gmail.com. Thank you.
Great. And I'm Dan Forbes, Forbes Property Group at Pure Realty here in Cedar Park, Texas. I've been a real estate licensee since the mid-90s, licensed as a broker in Florida, licensed as a sales agent here in Texas. You can reach me at one of two domains, Dan V as in victory, Forbes.com, danvforbes.com, or a new URL, which is austinshortsalehelp.com, or give me a call at 512-516-4666. All right, gentlemen, thank you. We achieved our goal of keeping this under 30 minutes. So I appreciate that. And we'll be posting and sharing this online, of course. So everybody's in our prayers. And if there's anything in the world that any of us can do for you, please reach out. Thank you.